Hey, welcome back. Oh man, I have a question for you. Have you seen your life coach today? You what? Life coach. Well, today you're going to meet a life coach who is not only a life coach, he's an author. So we have a whole lot to stick in this little time. Also want to tell you that part of what he's going to talk about, one of his protagonists, come from England, which would make a great time for a shout out to, believe it or not, our audience in England. Claire, Alan, Diane, welcome. I know you're watching because today we're going to meet Ryan Hall. Ryan, a pleasure.
Thank you so much for having me. This is really cool to be here.
Well, you know, you have an awful lot to talk about.
I do.
I want to know about you. I want to know who Ryan is. And I want to know all about this life coaching that you do. You have a book that's already out and another book coming.
Absolutely.
So talk real fast.
All right. Well, like I'm going to be that guy who, in those old commercials, who used to talk real fast. Yeah. Well, just long story short, my name is Ryan Hall. I am an author, and I am also a life coach, which we'll certainly talk about both of them.
Yep.
But I'm originally from a little small town in Alabama.
Alabama.
Alabama, yes. Been up here in New York. This March will be 2 years.
Wow.
Still not really used to it yet,
Yeah.
but it's coming.
Yeah, I hear you.
Originally from Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
Wow.
As of the airing of this show, the soon-to-be home of the 18-time National College Football Champions.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, roll tide.
Had to throw that in there, didn't you?
Absolutely, I had to throw that in there. But yeah, no, like you said, I'm an author, I'm a life coach, and really, how I got into coaching, a lot of it was when I was writing my book. When I was putting my book together.
Well, life coaching is relatively new.
It
is. Basically, what is a life coach?
What is a life coach? A life coach is somebody who holds people's feet to the fire. The people that exactly.
It's pretty hot.
Exactly. But the people I work with have a lot of hot feet. They have a lot of hot feet. But long story short is if you've got big declarations, big goals, big things that you're really looking to create out of your life, I'm the guy who you call to support you in just getting out of your head, getting into your heart, trusting your intuition, and being able to make those big things happen. And I know with the dawn of a new year, we've got a lot of that going on right now.
I 100% believe in what you're talking about. I am a writing coach.
Okay.
And I work with authors all the time. And that's exactly what I do. I help them get their ideas from in their heads out to the surface. What do you want to write about? Where is your material? How do you get the material from inside your head to the page? And with you, there's people who have goals. And they want to reach those goals, but they have to kind of focus and understand where they're going. You help them focus. Is that right?
I do, yes.
What are some of the questions that you ask? How do you help them get it from in here or here out here?
The biggest question that I ask is a simple one. It sounds simple, but there's actually two questions that I ask people that really start the ball rolling. What are you up to, and what's in the way? Those are really when I'm talking to at least a potential new client.
So pretty much your clients are people who have something in the way.
Yes.
There's something that keeps them. I mean, for me, writer's block. Some of these writers have writer's block. They want to write their novel. They know it's there, but they don't know how to get it out. And when they sit in front of that computer, it just doesn't happen.
You're just staring at that blinking cursor for hours on end.
Really. And for you, life can be that way. You know, there's so many things that get in the way. Those things, what do they call them? Oh, yeah, kids. You know, your kids, your wife, your husband, your life, and so many things go on. And I would imagine you need to clear the construction site before you start building.
You totally do. You totally do. And a lot of the people who come to me for support, for coaching, are people who are. I bill myself as the life coach for kings.
For kings.
For kings, yes. And what that means is that you want to live that big life. And just long story short, what I call a king is a heart-centered leader in the world. And it's not gender specific, although I do primarily work with men. But what I mean by being a king is somebody who really leads from their heart, in their community, in their home, in their job. Somebody who really lives a life of purpose, lives a life for a greater ideal, for a greater goal.
Yeah. And there's so many. I know with me, I grew up as a dreamer. I am a dreamer. Only I understood, thank God, relatively early that if you want to achieve your dreams, you have to understand that they're based in reality. Sometimes you have to keep running into the real world, and it's very hard. And if you spend your whole life dreaming, then you're not living, you're dreaming. So you have to base it on reality, and you have to understand where you're going. My son is in his 30s, and when he was younger, I used to teach him. I used to say, Vinny, I want you to put your arms out. You have goals and you have dreams. Follow your dreams, but make sure that they also follow your life so that you can jump over, and you need to cross over. And there has to be a point where your dreams meet your life, and you understand where you're going. So he gets it, and every once in a while, even today, he goes, Dad. And I said, yeah, that's right. Some of the dreams that you have, by the time you're old enough to get to them, it's too late. Some of your dreams are just too far into the future, and it's very hard to get to them if your life keeps getting in the way. So they have to kind of meet somewhere, and there has to be a jump-off point. You set your goal, and then your goal gets here, and then you reset your goal to something else, and you just need to know where you're going.
Exactly.
So you do that for people?
I do. I do. I don't do that for people. I primarily show people how they're able
Guide
to do
them
that
into
for
doing
themselves.
it for themselves.
Exactly.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. Just a quick example. I can't really speak specifically about my clients because our conversations are confidential, but just if somebody has I like to call it, they've put a creative pursuit in mothballs. Like when they were in college, they used to play the guitar or whatever. And
they want to go back to it?
And they want to go back to it, but they don't feel like they're being responsible because they have responsibilities. They have a family. They have a job. But they really feel that kind of tugging on their heartstrings.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who can support you, and hey, you can have it all, not just one or the other.
Yeah. And again, there's adjustments. If your dream was to be a rock star, and now you're 60 years old, unless you're Mick Jagger, it's a little hard, So you have to kind of reset. You have to understand that there's some of those dreams that you had are very difficult to achieve now.
Yeah.
They were wonderful dreams 20 years ago, or 30 or 40. Now it's a lot harder.
Yeah.
So you do this life coaching, and you're an author.
I am, yes.
Talk to me about when this author thing came about.
Well, there was a time when I was 10 years old.
Okay.
No exaggeration here. When I was 10 years old, I just got really. It was primarily when I was 10 years old. I just got really fascinated by story. My grandfather was really my hero when it comes to storytelling. He was a World War II veteran, was wounded in the South Pacific, and was like the king of the campfire storytellers.
Oh, wow.
And I just got so fascinated by that I just wanted to. There was one particular story that he told me about fireflies, or lightning bugs as we call them down south.
Yeah. Me too.
But that he just had me so convinced that they were these race of alien monkeys that I had to turn it into something. And I was like 10 years old, and that became my first short story, and I've just been fascinated by story ever since.
Yeah. And writers are storytellers on paper, and I tell a number of my younger students, they say to me, I want to write a story, but my life is boring. How do I write an exciting story? And I said, well, your imagination plays a huge role. And it's very important that you understand the what if. You see a firefly, but you see blazing monkeys too, and you have to allow yourself to step beyond. Sometimes you do have to step into your imagination and let your imagination fly.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like I was saying earlier, you've got to get out of this big dome that lives on your shoulders and really trust your imagination, because your imagination is in here.
Yeah.
It's not in here.
Writing is a wonderful relationship between you and your inner imagination. Yeah. And if you can put the two of them together, create great books. So what is your book about? What is the title of your book?
All right. Well, the book that I have out right now, it's been out for a few years. It's on a little up and coming website called Amazon.
Oh,
but it's called Written in the Stone. Now, Written in the Stone is about a guy named Ethan. Ethan is a globetrotting magazine reporter, lives and works in London, originally from a small town in Alabama.
You hear that, Clara, Diane, and Alan? London. Check his facts.
But he's originally from a little small town in Alabama. Early in the book, he gets a little bit of notoriety that he did not want because he was held hostage while covering the stuff in the Middle East. Okay? And something happens to his family back in Alabama where he has to come home and deal with it. While he's home, he gets the story of a lifetime just dropped in his lap.
Wow.
It's about his captivity. So it's about that. It's about chasing down that story, but it's also about a guy trying to keep his family from falling apart. Written in the Stone.
Written in the Stone. Now, why is it called Written in the Stone?
There are two reasons for that.
Okay.
Number one, there is a cemetery that's a central kind of a central
written
character.
In the stone. I get
written
it.
in the stone. Yeah. There's a cemetery in the book. There's a particular grave that proves crucial to the plot of the story. But also, I'm also quite fascinated by the song "In the Stone" by Earth, Wind, and Fire. Yes, and it's really all about the truth and strength being written in the stone.
Wow. So, big question for you. When and where do you write?
When I can.
Yeah.
Primarily, before I moved up here, I lived near a lake that our family owns, that it still owns, and I did most of my writing out a little lawn chair by the lake.
Wow.
But now I really write when I can.
Yeah.
I have found a little pond outside Greenwich, Connecticut that when the weather is nice, I sit out there and do my thing. Getting harassed by geese along the way.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, I write when I can. You really need to make the time in order to make that happen.
And I'm always fascinated. As I say, I work with hundreds of writers over the years, and it fascinates me that writers are so different. The writers have what I call a profile, and some write early morning, some write in the afternoon, some write just before dinner or after dinner, during dinner, some write in their pajamas, some, there's so many different ways and places, and a writer really has to know his profile. He has to know who he is as a writer and what works best. And it's not always the same. Some writers work better on a full stomach. Some need to starve a little bit before they write. I write in the middle of the night. I write like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. My friends will tell you, oh yeah, he's writing again. I've got through 3 emails from him at 3:30 this morning. So for me, that works best because it's quiet. The only one really bothering me is the cat, who gets annoyed that I'm not paying attention to him. But other than that, the phone's not ringing. No one's at the door. But you grab whatever time you can grab.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much, yeah. You can't really wait for the muse to strike. You have to find it.
Yeah. And I stole for years from my teaching days. I wrote in the middle of the night. I wrote on weekends. I wrote on vacations because I was teaching full time.
Right.
So I had to find the time to write. Of course, now that I'm retired, I have more time, but somehow I don't have more time.
Yeah. One of the things that I have found is that a lot of the greatest inspiration for me when it comes to new scenes, there's a great scene in my new book that I got that came to me when I was sitting in traffic.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Which is unfortunate because you can't sit down and actually write it, but you should see the notes.
Especially if you're going 60 miles an hour.
Exactly. Or stuck in traffic on I-287. But you should see the notes app on my phone. It's filled with so many discombobulated and just disconnected stuff that have turned into just magical scenes.
It's funny. I do two different kinds of writing. I do nonfiction and I do fiction. My nonfiction is just boxes of notes and research. Research never ends. Yeah. The fiction is all up here. I don't do any notes for fiction. I sit in front of that computer and I do what I call zone. I get in there and I zone in and I'm there. Sometimes I sit down at 6 o'clock at night and I'm done at about 6 o'clock in the morning. And I just sit there 12 hours, not a problem. It just keeps coming coming and coming. Yeah, and it's an experience that I try to get writers to feel. I said, if you've never zoned, if you've never sat at a computer and just let the book write itself, then you've never been there. And it's an experience. It's like catching the biggest fish you've ever caught.
It's an incredible feeling. It really is. When you're just so locked in on that material, you're there.
Yep,
you're there. You look up, it's 4 or 5 hours later. I haven't eaten since breakfast. You know what I mean?
I know. I do it. I get in there and I just, when I was working, my wife would tap me on the shoulder and say, "You better shower. You have to be to work in an hour." I'm like, "Oh my God." What happened. So tell me about this new book. Now, what is this new book all about?
New book. It's one that I'm in process on. I'm currently searching for agent representation for publishing stuff.
Yeah, that's hard.
It is hard. I was able to make some inroads. I took
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I took I was part of a conference this past summer in the city where I was introduced to a lot of agents. Had some great conversations, so I was able to make some inroads there. But long story short, the new book is about a late night TV host.
Oh.
Okay, late night TV host. He is from a small town in Alabama. You noticing a theme here?
What a coincidence!
Right. But he's originally from a small town in Alabama. Is the host of this late night show? Kind of think like the love child of Letterman and Jon Stewart here.
Oh, there you go.
Kind of that intellectual, but with a little bit of a twist to it.
Yes. Yeah.
And early, he's married. He's got a child on the way. Kind of got that dream life that a lot of people would dream of.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Has an interesting family life. Early in the book, this is a spoiler, but it's not really crucial. Early in the book, his mother passes away. Okay. He finds out about it during the taping of one of his shows. That introduces us to his father. Now, our character's father is a legendary musician.
Wow.
Think Eric Clapton, think Duane Allman here, but somebody who has fallen on hard times, somebody who has just really lost that love for music, somebody who has really lost that passion for life.
Yeah.
And primarily the story is about helping somebody fall back in love with their life.
Yeah.
Through
He's
doing
a life
and
coach.
being what they do best. My main character has a coach.
Ah,
I mean, I had
there
to
you
do
go.
some marketing
Of
in there
course,
somehow.
you
Come
got to
on.
get in there.
But yeah, no, it's it's a really powerful story about a father and son, and about just like really doing and like being and doing what you do best in order to fall back in love with your life.
Yeah, yeah, and regain that passion.
Absolutely.
And it does. Life has this way of getting in the way.
It does.
You
It
know,
does.
And you have to find your way. So he finds his way, I hope.
He does.
Well, that's a good thing.
He
Does he
does.
stay in Alabama?
Yes.
Oh.
Well,
So he doesn't go
my
to
character's father does. Yeah,
character's
but
father.
he, yeah, you'll have to read the book to find out.
You hear that? So this new book, where did it originate?
It originated really, the relationship between my main character and his father was really a relationship that I had with my late father.
Oh.
Okay. I am not a late night TV host. Let's not get it. I mean, that is very fictional. But my father was a musician who was like really close to making it big, right? He was primarily a keyboard player, but he knew he had a lot of great connections. Like his band back in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, his band opened up for a little up and coming band from England called Led Zeppelin.
Oh, God.
So they were like really close to making it big.
Yeah.
And my dad fell into some depression, some addiction, and really kind of fell out of love with his own life. And it was really the purpose of it was really helping myself come to terms with his passing, but also to really rewrite his story, like how I wish it would have ended.
It takes me back again to the comment to the kid who said to me, what do I do? How do I write an exciting book if my life is boring? And I said to him, write about the what if. And I try to help people, writers, steal from their past. Your mind is a computer that has been collecting material for years. The question is, what do you do with it? And that's the joy of being a writer. All of these things that you've been storing for years, your father and who your father was, you can create a character that was similar to your father.
Yeah.
And your mind goes, hey, I got material for you.
Right.
And that's it. And you can steal your past from Alabama. You could be here. I wrote a book about my old neighborhood growing up. Today it's a parking lot. There's nothing there. All the things that meant so much to me, the laundromat where we hung out, the gas station across the street, the hardware store, it's all gone. But it's not gone.
Right. The physical buildings might be gone, but
Right.
the memories
The
will
memories are
live as
there.
long as you do.
And if you can get your character, who is not your father,
Right.
similar to your father, if you could get him to steal that neighborhood back, he will. And you could go in there, and it helps you to go back to things that would have been lost.
Yep.
So it gives us an opportunity. So I can't explain to some of the young writers what it feels like to leave where you are and to go back. There is such a thing as a time machine. As a writer, we go back. I can see as clear as day what that laundromat looked like, and what that gas station looked like, and what the hardware store looked like. It's all there. It still exists, but it exists in me. And if I can create a story around it and let my characters wander that neighborhood, it's alive again. And the feeling for me is wonderful. It's such an escape from reality. And I'm not saying you have to run away from life. I'm saying you have to live it again. And as a writer, you can.
I love that analogy. Just like living that life again,
Yeah.
living that,
Go
just
back
like
there.
going back to the good times, but also the dark times. Just
Yeah,
being
oh,
able
yeah.
to just like relive that and being able to help a reader to be able to experience that again.
And to hear that coming from a life coach is great for me, because that's what we need to do. I mean, my motto that I absolutely live by is that it's not what we want that's important. It's wanting what we have that's really important. And to take the things that we have, enjoy them, and remember what we had. So it's not so much as what we'd like to get, it's what we've already had and what we have today that we should really relish. Well, I got bad news for you, man. It is about 1.5 minutes to go. Ryan, speak to those people. What are you going to tell them?
All right. Well, I know we've just turned over the calendar of the new year. We've just turned over a new chapter, a new book. I know it's an old cliche, but you got a new year, 365 blank pages.
Yep.
What do you want to do with those pages?
There you
Do
go.
you want to create a big life for yourself, or do you want to keep living the same year over and over and over again? Do you want to find that love of your life? Do you want to create that new career? Do you want to write that book? If you want to do that, you gotta get people behind you. You gotta get people supporting you. That's where I come in. Like I said earlier in our conversation, I hold people's feet to the fire. What do you want? What
And
do you
how
want?
are you going to get
and
it?
how are you going to
What's
make it
your
happen?
plan?
What's the plan?
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
And the nice thing about a plan, the same thing I tell authors, you don't have to know the ending of your book when you start it. Have an idea of where it's going to end, and then let it go where it needs to go to get there.
Yes.
Well, it has been an absolute pleasure to have you here. Keep doing what you do. Coach people. Help direct them. Keep writing your books.
Yes.
What is the title of the new book?
Hello again.
Hello Again.
Coming soon.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Well, keep writing. Keep doing what you do. Thank you for being here. And when you finish your book, allow me to say hello again.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Wonderful.
It's been a privilege, Ben. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely a privilege to have you here. Thank you for coming.